Wow, I never used that setting. Here we are discussing Brightbox. Bob is the first student I introduced this video to, and we discussed two contexts that you might try to improvise using this in. One would be something like breakdown, where you're very clearly in an A minor world, and then something like in C major, very clearly just on like C. Learning to Fly came to mind right away for you, which would be good for being sure to come to a rest on certain notes. For instance, we talked about how when you get to the 5 chord, all of a sudden throwing in the 7th, that usually sounds like error message. Now sounds like apple pie. There we go. And so that said, Brightbox we discussed for A minor primarily here. Starting with approach 1, you just play the minor pentatonic until you get to this root on the 4th string. At which point we're going to think of our core notes as, this C sharp here and D, 5, 7, 8 here, not pinky, and then 5, 7, 8 here, and then 9. The only non-scale tone, if we look at like a Mixolydian, if I'm going to do this like this, is this one right here, the minor 3rd. And that just sounds correct. It sounds like rock and roll, where you can pretty much always include it in your rock solos. Even like, I'm playing something really major, it still will sound like what we want to hear. Cool. So if we were to depart from that, on the 3rd string, we could actually include the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th fret, but mostly the 4th fret would come up as I was on my 1st finger and I dipped back. We do a lot of that when we're in major keys with getting to that note, but it also sounds like, I just went minor major to us, because minor 3rds and flat 7ths are what sounds like rock and roll, as opposed to just do re mi fa sol la si do across the board. Cool. So there we have it. We've got, if we were going to play everything that I might hit, with something that would look something like that. So what we usually have up in front of that is our pentatonic 2, and so forth. So maybe pause and explore that whole situation. We had also talked about going ahead to the 7th fret and playing something that resembles the pentatonic 1, and seeing that actually has some really interesting tones. We would usually be playing, for A major, we'd be at the Dorian part of our life. So we're just adding, that's just a 4th, which sounds good. And we often would bend that note, so they both work. Throwing all that in at the same time. Cool. So there we are. And what we essentially found ourselves doing there is playing the B minor, D major pentatonic in a song that's in a totally different key, overlapping those two boxes. Core concept again, a lot of the notes that we bend to, now we're actually fretting. Which is the correlate would be back here with it. Or excuse me, that would come up again back here. With our major scale stuff. Cool. So then, something that we always want to realize is that if I'm in pentatonic 2 like I am for A major right now, blues box is always right back behind it. And that we want to transition going up on our middle finger so that we're right here and coming back down on our ring finger. The exception being where we just go there and back, where this is the obvious choice. But yeah, doing this gets us locked into a 4-finger approach that doesn't really work aside from like kind of just for funsies playing a seventh. And I believe that's pretty much the entirety of what we discussed. Aside from, does that then imply that I could go up to my C major bright box and play these things that we just did? And you kind of can. If we look at it, it's, so map that and look at which notes it has in common with, what we usually do for C major, A minor there. So that's a whole new thing that works, and that therefore we can dip back into the C major box and cruise ahead of it and so forth, and it's just good times like that. So we're adding a lot of flat sevenths and minor thirds, and generally just throwing in some new structure to work on. So again, you got your very clearly A minor song, and then your very clearly C major song. But we do want to have one of them that has longer changes, so you can really work on resolving to certain notes at certain moments. All right, Bob, exactly. I'm sure I'll send this video to other people. Pardon the take one. We'll get you a good version that doesn't look like that immediately. In fact, we have done it.